11:47 p.m. February 10, 2026. A security camera on a quiet residential street in Columbus, Ohio captures something chilling. A figure moves toward the home of an 84-year-old woman. Deliberate. Cautious. Checking the street before stepping onto her property. 38 seconds later, the figure disappears from the frame. The woman inside that home? Nancy Guthrie. A grandmother. A compliance officer for a pharmaceutical company. And a federal witness who had just uncovered a $2 million scheme that stretched across 7 states. 2 minutes after that footage was recorded, Nancy's internet connection went dark. Her laptop, still warm. Her evidence, uploaded to federal investigators moments before. But Nancy? Gone. What investigators found inside her home 3 days later would turn a missing person case into one of the most significant criminal investigations the Department of Justice has seen in nearly a decade. Before we dive in, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We cover real-life cases like this every week, stories that need to be told. This is her story. Let me ask you something. Where are you watching this from right now? Drop your city or state in the comments. I want to know where the Case Files collective community is tuning in from today. Now, let's talk about Nancy Guthrie. Most people have never heard her name. She wasn't famous. She wasn't wealthy. She didn't live a life that made headlines. Nancy was a compliance officer, a job that sounds as boring as it gets. She verified paperwork. She checked invoices. She made sure the medications ordered by nursing homes matched the medications that were actually delivered. Tedious work. Invisible work. The kind of job where, if you're doing it right, nobody notices you at all. But Nancy noticed something. And what she found would put her directly in the crosshairs of individuals involved in a scheme that had been quietly taking millions of dollars from American taxpayers, right under the nose of federal regulators. This isn't just a story about one missing woman in Ohio. This is about a problem that's affecting healthcare programs nationwide. It's about how gaps in oversight can be exploited by those willing to break the law. And it's about what happens when someone like Nancy, someone with no power, no protection, just a sense of right and wrong, decides to stand up and do something about it. Because here's the thing. Nancy didn't have to get involved. She could have looked the other way. She could have processed the invoices like she was told and collected her paycheck and gone home. But she didn't. And on February 10, 2026, someone may have wanted to ensure she'd never get the chance to testify about what she knew. Nancy Guthrie was 84 years old. Let that sink in for a second. 84. Most people that age are retired, spending time with grandkids, enjoying the life they've built. Not Nancy. She was still working. Still showing up every day to her job at MedSource Logistics, a mid-sized pharmaceutical distributor based in Columbus, Ohio. The company wasn't a household name. You've probably never heard of it. But it was substantial. Last year alone, MedSource pulled in $470 million in revenue. They handled prescription medications for nursing homes, hospice facilities, and small hospital networks all across the Midwest. Necessary work. Important work. The kind of infrastructure that keeps the healthcare system running smoothly. Nancy's role was compliance verification. That meant she was the person who made sure everything added up. When a nursing home ordered medications, Nancy checked that what they ordered matched what was delivered. She verified billing codes. She cross-referenced federal Medicare and Medicaid reimbursements to make sure they aligned with actual services provided. It was detail-oriented, repetitive, unglamorous work. The kind of job that pays around $68,000 a year and requires you to spend your days staring at spreadsheets, comparing numbers, and flagging discrepancies. But Nancy was good at it. Meticulous. Thorough. The kind of person who didn't just glance at the numbers, she studied them. And in March of 2025, those numbers started telling her a story that didn't make sense. 3 nursing facilities in southern Ohio were ordering unusually high quantities of prescription medications. We're talking about serious medications here, high-level painkillers and controlled substances. The kind of medications that are heavily regulated because of their potential for misuse. And the quantities these facilities were ordering? They didn't match their patient census. Not even close. Now, here's where it gets interesting. These kinds of discrepancies should have triggered automatic flags in federal monitoring systems. The government has safeguards in place specifically to catch this kind of thing. When a facility starts ordering unusually high amounts of regulated medications, alarms are supposed to go off. Except they weren't going off. Someone had figured out how to structure the orders to stay just below the federal reporting thresholds. It was calculated. Precise. Whoever was behind this understood exactly how the system worked, and exactly how to work around it. Nancy flagged the discrepancies internally. She went to her supervisor and said, "Hey, something's not right here. These numbers don't add up." And you know what her supervisor told her? Clerical errors. That's what she was told. Just process the reimbursements and move on. But Nancy didn't move on. Instead, she started keeping copies. By June of 2025, Nancy had identified a pattern that was impossible to ignore. 17 facilities across Ohio, Indiana, and Kentucky were systematically overbilling Medicare. And it wasn't just a little bit of sloppiness or accidental double billing. This was intentional. Organized. Sophisticated. Some of the medications were never delivered at all. Others were delivered in quantities far smaller than what was being billed. And in some cases, medications were delivered and then redirected through unauthorized channels. Think about that for a second. Prescription medications that were supposed to be going to elderly patients in nursing homes were instead being moved through irregular distribution networks, while Medicare footed the bill. But here's what made the scheme so hard to detect. On paper, everything looked legitimate. Invoices matched purchase orders. Delivery confirmations showed driver signatures. Electronic health records showed prescriptions written by licensed physicians. Every box was checked. Every form was filed. It looked clean. But Nancy found the gaps. Delivery trucks showing up at facilities outside normal business hours. Signature patterns that repeated across multiple locations, same handwriting, different names. Prescription patterns from physicians who, according to state medical boards, had either drastically reduced their patient loads or retired months earlier. And then there were the financial transfers. Nancy discovered that MedSource Logistics was moving money to a network of shell companies. These weren't real businesses. They were entities registered in places like Delaware and Nevada, states known for minimal corporate oversight requirements. No employees. No physical offices. No websites. Just bank accounts. And millions of dollars flowing through them. Nancy had uncovered something significant. Far bigger than she probably realized at first. This wasn't just about a few nursing homes padding their bills. This was an organized operation using the healthcare system for financial gain. Before we continue, do me a favor. If you're finding this story as important as I am, hit that like button. It helps more people see stories like Nancy's. And drop a comment. What time is it where you are right now? In August of 2025, Nancy made a decision that would change everything. She took her findings to the Ohio Attorney General's Medicaid Fraud Control Unit. This wasn't a small step. Nancy knew that going outside her company with allegations like this could put her job at risk. It could create difficulties for her. But she also knew that what she'd uncovered wasn't going to stop on its own. Someone had to do something. The Attorney General's office opened a preliminary inquiry. And what they found confirmed Nancy's concerns. This wasn't isolated. This wasn't a few individuals cutting corners. This was systematic, large-scale misconduct. By October, the case had been escalated to the Department of Justice Criminal Division. Federal prosecutors in the Southern District of Ohio got involved. And in November, they convened a grand jury. A grand jury, for those unfamiliar, is a group of citizens who review evidence to determine whether there's enough to bring criminal charges. It's a serious step. It means federal prosecutors believe they have a case worth pursuing. And Nancy's documentation was central to that case. She had spreadsheets tracking irregular billing patterns. She had copies of invoices that didn't match delivery records. She had financial documents showing money flowing from MedSource Logistics to shell companies with names like Meridian Health Solutions LLC, a company registered in Nevada with no employees, no physical location, and no apparent business operations. But somehow, Meridian Health Solutions had received $8 million in transfers from MedSource between March and November of 2025. Where did that money go? Nancy traced it. 12 different bank accounts across 6 states. And from there, the funds were moved offshore, to accounts in the Cayman Islands and Belize. Classic money laundering. Textbook financial misconduct designed to make the money difficult to trace. Nancy had mapped the entire network. And federal investigators were building a case that could result in criminal charges, asset recovery, and significant consequences for everyone involved. But here's the challenge with cases like this. They rely heavily on witness testimony. Documents are important. Financial records are critical. But in a courtroom, prosecutors need someone who can explain those documents, walk a jury through the evidence, and testify under oath about what they found and how they found it. Nancy was that person. Without her testimony, the case would be significantly weaker. Defense attorneys would challenge the chain of custody. They'd question the reliability of the analysis. They'd argue that without Nancy there to explain the evidence, it's incomplete. Insufficient for conviction. With her testimony, though, the case was solid. Nancy could explain every detail. She could walk prosecutors through every transaction, every red flag, every piece of the puzzle. Which means Nancy wasn't just a witness. She was the foundation of the entire federal investigation. And that made her valuable. Not to law-abiding citizens. Not to honest businesses. But to the people who had built a multi-million-dollar operation and were now facing the possibility of federal prison. On January 24, 2026, Nancy met with federal investigators. We don't know exactly what was discussed in that meeting. Grand jury proceedings are confidential. But we do know that Nancy provided additional documentation. We know she was cooperating fully. And we know that prosecutors were preparing to use her testimony as the cornerstone of their case. 4 days later, Nancy Guthrie disappeared. This is the kind of case that stays with you. If you're feeling the same way, make sure you're subscribed. We need this community to keep growing. And tell me, what's the weather like where you are today? February 10, 2026. 11:47 p.m. A residential security camera on Nancy's street captures footage that would become the most important piece of evidence in the investigation. The video shows a figure approaching Nancy's home. The person moves carefully. Deliberately. They pause at the edge of the property, checking the street as if making sure no one is watching. Then they step onto Nancy's lawn and move toward the house. 38 seconds later, the figure exits the frame. The video quality isn't perfect. The person is wearing dark clothing. Their face isn't clearly visible. But investigators believe the footage is critical because of the timing. Nancy's cell phone last pinged a tower near her home at 11:18 p.m. that night. Her laptop was actively connected to her home Wi-Fi until 11:51 p.m. And here's the detail that changes everything. Browser history from Nancy's laptop shows she was accessing a secure document portal used by federal investigators to upload evidence. The last document she uploaded was timestamped 11:49 p.m. 2 minutes before her internet connection went dark. Think about that timeline. At 11:47 p.m., someone approaches her home. At 11:49 p.m., Nancy uploads her final piece of evidence to federal investigators. At 11:51 p.m., her internet goes offline. And Nancy Guthrie is never seen again. When police processed the scene 3 days later, here's what they found. Nancy's car was still in her garage. Her purse was still in her bedroom. There were no signs of disturbance in the main living areas of the home. But in Nancy's home office, a locked drawer had been forced open. And an external hard drive that her sister said Nancy kept in that drawer was missing. Nothing else in the house was taken. No valuables were removed. No rooms were searched. Just the hard drive. That hard drive, according to Nancy's sister, contained backup copies of all the evidence Nancy had been gathering for the past 11 months. Every spreadsheet. Every financial document. Every piece of information that could connect MedSource Logistics and its network of shell companies to millions of dollars in Medicare billing irregularities. Whoever took that hard drive knew exactly what they were looking for. Neighbors reported seeing an unfamiliar vehicle parked 3 houses down from Nancy's home on the night she disappeared. A dark-colored sedan. Possibly a Toyota or Honda. No license plate visible. By morning, the vehicle was gone. Police canvassed the area looking for additional security footage, but they came up empty. No other cameras captured the vehicle's arrival or departure. Nancy's phone records revealed something else. At 10:38 p.m. on February 10th. Just over an hour before the surveillance footage was recorded, Nancy received a text message from a number that wasn't in her contact list. Investigators traced the number. It was a prepaid phone. Activated 3 hours before the message was sent. Deactivated shortly after. The content of the message hasn't been disclosed publicly, but whatever it said, it came from someone who didn't want to be identified. On February 12, the Columbus Police Department confirmed they had identified a person of interest captured in the surveillance footage. They did not release a name. They did not make an arrest. But according to sources within the investigation, speaking on condition of anonymity, the individual in that video is connected to an entity that Nancy Guthrie had been gathering evidence about for the past 11 months. Connected. Not employed by. Not a known associate of. Connected. That language is deliberate. It suggests investigators know who the person is, but they don't yet have enough evidence to charge them. Or they're building a larger case. If this case is hitting you as hard as it's hitting me, share this video. Nancy's story deserves to be heard. And before we continue, drop a comment and let me know, have you ever worked in healthcare or know someone who has? The Columbus Police Department has been careful about what information they release. In press briefings, they've said they're pursuing multiple leads. They've said they're working in coordination with federal authorities. They've urged anyone with information to contact their tip line. But they haven't said whether Nancy is alive or deceased. They haven't said whether they believe she left voluntarily or was taken against her will. And they haven't said whether the person of interest in the surveillance footage is a suspect or simply a witness. That silence is telling. In missing person cases, law enforcement typically provides regular updates to keep public attention focused on the search. The fact that they're holding information back suggests they're protecting the integrity of an ongoing criminal investigation. And that investigation has expanded. The grand jury that was convened in November to investigate the pharmaceutical billing irregularities Nancy documented has broadened its scope. According to sources familiar with the proceedings, federal prosecutors are now examining potential obstruction of justice and witness interference. Those are federal charges that carry significant prison sentences. This is no longer just about financial misconduct. This is a criminal investigation with a missing witness and evidence suggesting someone may have wanted to prevent her from testifying. Flight records show that federal agents from the Department of Justice Office of Inspector General traveled from Washington, D.C. to Columbus on February 11th, the day after Nancy disappeared. Hotel records placed them in the city through at least February 14th. The FBI's Cincinnati field office has not confirmed involvement. The Department of Justice has not issued any public statements. But the presence of federal agents in Columbus, combined with the expanded grand jury investigation, indicates how seriously this case is being taken. Nancy's family has hired a private investigation firm to supplement law enforcement efforts. That's not uncommon in missing person cases, but it suggests the family either believes the investigation needs additional resources or is concerned that answers may not come quickly enough through official channels alone. On February 14th, Nancy's sister made a public appeal. She described Nancy as meticulous, dedicated, and someone who believed in doing the right thing even when it was difficult. She said Nancy knew there were risks in pursuing the case, but felt obligated to see it through. She expressed hope that Nancy is still alive. And she asked anyone with information to come forward. But here's what makes this case so deeply troubling. If Nancy went missing because of her cooperation with federal investigators, it means someone had access to information about her involvement in the case. Grand jury proceedings are supposed to be confidential. Witness identities are supposed to be protected. So how did someone know Nancy was cooperating? How did they know what evidence she had? How did they know she just uploaded documents to federal investigators on the night she disappeared? Either there was a breach in operational security, or someone with authorized access shared information. Both scenarios represent a serious breakdown with serious implications. And beyond Nancy's case, the broader pharmaceutical investigation she contributed to is now at risk. Defense attorneys will argue that without her testimony, the evidence is incomplete. They'll challenge the reliability of her analysis. They'll use any uncertainty about her whereabouts to create reasonable doubt in the minds of jurors. If Nancy doesn't testify, convictions become significantly harder to secure. And if convictions don't happen, the message to others involved in similar schemes is clear: the risk is manageable, the rewards are substantial, and even if someone tries to expose wrongdoing, they can be stopped. That's not just a failure of one investigation. That's a failure of the entire system designed to protect witnesses and prosecute financial crimes. Nancy's case isn't happening in isolation. What she uncovered in Ohio is part of a much larger problem affecting healthcare programs across the country. During the COVID-19 pandemic, federal agencies temporarily loosened verification requirements for Medicare and Medicaid reimbursements. The goal was speed. Get medications and medical equipment to patients faster. Reduce paperwork. Trust providers to bill honestly, and verify later. That made sense during an emergency. But here's the problem. When the emergency ended, many of those relaxed rules stayed in place. Not because they were still needed, but because of administrative inertia. And some individuals noticed the opportunity. The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services reported in January 2026 that improper payments across all programs reached $86 billion in fiscal year 2025. Not all of that represents intentional wrongdoing. Some is clerical error. Some is billing confusion. But federal investigators estimate at least $32 billion represents deliberate schemes that exploit the regulatory gaps created during the pandemic. $32 billion. That's more than the annual GDP of 60 countries. That's more than the combined budgets of the FBI, DEA, and ATF. And it's coming directly out of taxpayer-funded healthcare programs. Medicare's Hospital Insurance Trust Fund is projected to face significant challenges by 2031, just 5 years from now. Medicaid enrollment hit 94 million Americans in 2025, the highest in history. And every dollar improperly taken from these systems accelerates the timeline to potential program difficulties. Congressional committees have held 17 hearings on healthcare billing issues since January 2025. Proposed solutions include increased funding for investigation units, AI-powered monitoring systems, and mandatory real-time verification of all claims over $10,000. None have advanced to floor votes. The political will exists to condemn the problem. The political will to fund prevention does not. So the issues continue. And people like Nancy Guthrie, making $68,000 a year in compliance jobs, become the front line of defense because federal systems aren't catching what they should catch. Federal prosecutors in Florida charged executives from a medical equipment company with defrauding Medicare of $214 million in January. New York investigators broke up a home healthcare billing operation in December that allegedly took $96 million from Medicaid. Texas authorities arrested operators of a pharmacy network in November accused of submitting false claims totaling $138 million. These aren't isolated incidents. These are organized operations using corporate structures, professional accountants, and sophisticated technology to systematically take from public healthcare funds. And Nancy Guthrie tried to stop one of them. As of today, Nancy Guthrie is still missing. The person of interest captured in the surveillance footage has not been publicly identified. No arrests have been made. Federal investigators continue to build their case. The grand jury investigation continues. And Nancy's family continues to search for answers. But here's what we know for certain. Nancy Guthrie spent 11 months documenting a scheme that took millions of dollars from American taxpayers. She reported it to authorities. She cooperated with federal investigators. She did everything right. And 4 days after meeting with prosecutors, she vanished. This case is a test. A test of whether witnesses in federal investigations can cooperate without fearing for their safety. A test of whether the systems we've built to protect healthcare programs actually work when confronted with sophisticated operations. And a test of whether doing the right thing still means something in America. Nancy Guthrie believed it did. And wherever she is right now, she deserves justice. If you want to see more cases like this, subscribe to the Case Files Collective. Hit the bell icon so you never miss an upload. Share this video. And in the comments, tell me. Do you think Nancy is still alive? This is the Case Files Collective. And this case isn't over.